What's going on, buddy? Salute here, and today in this video I'll be going over all the strongest builds for every class in season 25. So with the season 25 theme, all builds have seen insane increases in damage output, and now a lot of builds are now in the S tier and can clear 150 solo. At the end of the video I'll also go over a tier list where we'll be ranking all the best classes. If you're looking for a specific class, timestamps will be in the description. Now, Demon Hunter is going to be one of the strongest classes in Season 25. It has received massive reworks to a Water set and buffs to the Bombardier's Rucksack and the Impale set, as well as being able to capitalize heavily on the new soul shards from the Season 25 theme. The Water set now buffs sentries an insane amount, and the multiplier now has 12,000% increased damage per active sentry, as well as sentries being able to cast your equipped Hatred Spender automatically and when you do. The Bombardier's Rucksack now also buffs Cluster Arrow by 200%, making it on par with Multi-Shot as one of the strongest push builds. Now the Shaman's Impale build now hits subsequent enemies for a third of the damage that it hits the main target. And this finally makes the Impale set actually be able to kill multiple targets at the same time, and it's a much needed change. Now the Demon Hunter is one of the best classes in the game when it comes to speed. Its ability to move through T16 rifts and bounties on the guard set destroying everything on the screen is just insane. For greater farming, the guard set remains the same playstyle, but compared to the other new Demon Hunter builds, it's going to be lagging in damage. I foresee the guard set is still going to be able to clear GR speeds in about the 2-minute mark, but it's going to be in a lower GR level compared to the other Demon Hunter builds like the Marauder or Impale. Now Impale is going to be somewhat in between Guard and Marauder, and its ability to consistently clear GRs no matter the map is where it has the power. It can just hunt elites. And I see Impale maybe doing GRs at 120, of course with good gear and Paragon. And for Marauder, which is now the strongest build of them all, I see it speed clearing about 130s with the multi-shot variation in about 3 to 4 minutes. And that's of course also with good gear and high Paragon. Now the Marauder will not be as consistent as Impale. It will destroy on big open maps, and it will perform significantly worse on close quarter maps. Or of course, if that's the worst thing in this game, doors. Now for pushing, Demon Hunter is going to have at least 2 builds that's going to be capable of clearing 150. Perhaps even 3 builds. Those builds being the Marauder Cluster Arrow and the Marauder Multi-Shot, and perhaps also Impale. The buffs to the Marauder set plus the pet Soul Shard gives the Marauder set incredible power. They play roughly the same, the 2 builds, but the whole sentry placement playstyle takes a while to get used to. Impale is gonna play like it has always done, so mostly elite hunting or finding big groups of mobs, but now also capable of killing trash with the new buff. Now for the group play of the Demon Hunter, it's gonna be interesting. It's definitely gonna be used in the form of CDH, so support, but I'm not convinced that it's strong enough to be used as a main damage output for the 4-man meta, but I guess time will tell. If you want to learn how this new Marauder Sentry build plays, there'll be a link to a build guide up here that I've made. At the end of the video, I will rank the Demon Hunter compared to all other classes, and timestamps of that, as well as all other classes overviews, are in the description. Now the Witch Doctor is going to be one of the strongest classes in Season 25 with massive reworks to the Arcade set, as well as overall buffs and quality of life changes to multiple items, as well as being able to capitalize heavily on the new soul shard system from Season 25 theme. These changes are much needed and is a welcome sight. The Shukrani's Triumph now gives a 100% damage increase while in Spirit Realm, and you're also now able to gain the 60% damage reduction from Laconi's Ornament from just a single mob. This is incredible for the Rift Guardian fight. Damage from Spider Queen's Grasp has been buffed to 800%, Brood of Aranate now buffs Corpse Spiders and has a stacking damage buff that increases per spider bite, resulting in being able to dominate with Guardians. These changes, as well as the Arcade buffs, makes Witch Doctor so much better and a lot more fun to play. Now the Witch Doctor will be decent for speeds. It will still be able to gain an insane amount of movement speed with the chicken build, and this helps a lot with T16 rifts and bounties. It is however worth mentioning that it's still far behind Demon Hunter and Monk, so you might need one of those if you're planning on playing Season 25 for a while, just to use your time more efficiently. The Witch Doctor will be a decent solo GR farmer as well. New Arcade Corpse Spider has a very high damage and air effect damage as well. I foresee the build being able to clear in the 120s to 130s and being able to clear this about 3 to 4 minutes. And of course this will require some Paragon and some good gear. For pushing, the Witch Doctor will have at least 2 builds capable of clearing 150. The Arcade Corpse Spider and the Necromancer Fetish Army Poison Dart build. These builds both benefit massively from the Directs of Lies Soul Shard, basically buffing pets by an incredible amount. Now the Arcade Corpse Spider should be the strongest of the 2 builds, and the playstyle requires a bit of getting used to, but once you play it enough, it becomes fairly simple. I foresee that the Witch Doctor should see a fair amount of group play this season. With the buffed Arcade Corpse Spider, it should now be able to demolish a Rift Guardian on a 150 with ease. So if you always enjoyed the theme of the Witch Doctor but have opted for other classes, now might be the time to come back and play the beloved Witch Doctor, as it is now really strong and a lot of fun, and I'm definitely gonna play it myself in Season 25. There'll also be a link to my Corpse Spider build guide up here if you want to check it out. At the end of the video, I will rank the Witch Doctor compared to all other classes. Timestamps for that, as well as all other classes, are in the description. Now, the Wizard has seen some pretty big changes coming into Season 25. The fire set was nerfed and buffed multiple times during the PTR, and has now landed in a pretty good place, at least numbers wise. The biggest change is that Firebird's mirror image is completely dead, since Pet can no longer trigger the effect of the 6-piece. And the build has now been replaced with its weaker but more interesting Spectral Blade. All in all, I think this is actually a good change. It was previously way too powerful, but the current variation is maybe still a bit lacking in terms of more viable playable builds. And the Wizard has also been the king of all builds in 2 seasons, so maybe this is good change. For solo speeds, the Wizard is still in a decent spot. The teleport will always be a good spell for getting around the map, but the class is lacking area of effect damage for clearing fast. I predict that the Wizard can speed somewhere in the 120s in about 3 to 4 minutes, and of course this also requires good gear and high paragon. For pushing, the best build is now the Spectral Blade, whilst Hydra and LOD Twister might also be able to clear 150. But overall, the class is significantly weaker than what we're used to. Now, I don't foresee the Wizard being used for any kind of group play, there's just better options. It has an okay support build, but I don't see it being used. And its damage doesn't really compare to something from a Monk or a Witch Doctor. So if you played Wizard in the last 2 seasons, this might be a season to try something new. At the end of the video, I will rank the Wizard compared to all other classes. Timestamps for that, as well as all other classes, will be in the description. Now for the Monk. The Monk is the strongest class in Season 25. Its damage has increased by a lot, and even though Monk haven't seen any changes this season, the Soul Shot from the season theme has tremendously increased its power. The Drakes of Light Soul Shot furthermore buffs the already strongest build in the game, the Inner Mystic Ally Pet build, as well as the Sliver of Terror Soul Shot, giving the Monk insane damage due to the nature of the build. For speed, the Monk is still the king of all kings. For T16 key farming and bounties is just not even comparable. The only class that comes close to this is a Demon Hunter, and the Monk can farm 120 to 130 keys per hour if played correctly. For greater rift speed is also the Master. The Water Ally variation will be able to clear 120 GRs in like 2 minutes or less. And while the slower but stronger fire version of the build will be able to clear 130s in roughly 3 minutes. Of course, this also required good gear and paragon. So if you're looking for an insane class for solo speed farming in Season 25, I'd highly recommend Monk, as it is the strongest class and it's also a lot of fun. Now for pushing, the Inner Mystic Ally Fire Monk is going to be the strongest class. I foresee it being able to clear 150 within the first weekend of Season 25. It won't even require amazing gear or paragon or anything like that, although the strongest variation of this build uses the Shenlong's weapon, and that could require a bit of experience to getting used to. The Monk is going to see a lot of group play in Season 25. I'll be very surprised to not see at least 1 Monk in the speed GR XP meta, perhaps even 2 Monks. For greater pushing, group setups is also going to be one of the damage dealers, and in a case a new meta build is found where 3 supports is used, Monk will also be one of them. So if you're looking for a class that is exceptional for solo and group play, Monk is definitely the way to go. If you want to see the greater solo speed build, you can find a link up here. At the end of the video, I'll rank the Monk compared to all other classes, and timestamps for that as well as all other classes are in the description. Now for the Barbarian. The Barbarian is going to be really strong in Season 25 with massive damage boost to Hammer of the Ancients and damage increase from the season theme. The changes for Season 25 increases the multiplier on Remorseless from 250 all the way up to 200% as well. And the developer note states that they wanted to buff the Hammer of the Ancients and not a specific build. So this is really nice and is great for the class as a whole. Due to this change and the insane value the Soul Shot brings to this season, the Barb is now really strong. So for speed, the Barbarian is mostly the same in terms of playstyle. The Wind build is going to be able to stack incredible movement speed and can blast through any map in T16 or bounties. His clear speed is however still lacking due to the limited range of Wind, at least compared to something like a Monk or a Demon Hunter. The Wind build remains in the top end of solo experience farming from Graders, but most likely be able to clear GR 120s in under 3 minutes, with good gear and high paragon. So the Barbarian is a great class for anyone who plays a solo a lot. So for pushing, the Barbarian is going to have at least 2 builds strong enough to clear 150. Those being the Wind Barb and the LOD Hammer of Ancients. Both builds rely heavily on keeping spells on cooldown, and the new Soul Shots really buff the damage of cooldown reliant builds. Wind Barb for pushing is gonna remain the same playstyle wise, just a lot stronger. And the Hammer of the Ancient LOD build is insanely powerful with the new season change to Remorseless. And both builds require a decent amount of experience playing them before you really start to shine. And that's mostly in ad management, i.e. how you pull mobs to you and benefit from area damage by killing it all in one place. The Barbarian is, as always, going to see a bunch of group play. Ignore Pain and his ability to pull and stun mobs is just too powerful to miss out on. It will be used for almost all speed and push meta groups. So it is overall a really strong build with really good solo and group play. At the end of the video, I will rank the Barbarian compared to all other classes, and timestamps for that as well as all other classes will be in the description. Now Necromancer is doing pretty well in season 25. The change to Rathma increased the damage output for Army of the Dead build by a lot. This, as well as the season theme being extremely good for cooldown reliant builds, gives the Rathma some much needed love, and is now a strong contender for other classes. The Necromancer is a solid class for solo speeding T16 and bounties. The LD mage build is capable of blasting through rifts like there's no tomorrow, as well as lower level greater rifts. The build relies heavily on killing things quickly, however, and therefore will not be able to do higher DRs, but this is where the newly buffed Army of the Dead build comes in. I foresee it being able to clear DRs in the 120s to 130s and be able to do this consistently in about 3 to 4 minutes, of course with good gear and high paragon. Now Necromancer is only going to have one really good solo push build, that being the Rathma Army of the Dead build, clear 150 solo. It does however require a bit of experience and can be a bit clunky due to the nature of the build, and as always the Necromancer can be quite squishy. Now Necromancer could actually see a comeback for the 4-man speed meta in season 25, but that would be the rat one. I foresee the 4-man meta being some kind of rat ones, or maybe some kind of inner monk speed meta, and it will probably come down to what the groups prefer, as both those setups have pros and cons. So Necromancer is overall in a decent place. The only thing it does really well is the solo Arm of the Dead build, but if rat ones become a thing again, the Necromancer will be amazing, but I guess time will tell. At the end of the video, I will rank the Necromancer compared to all other classes, and timestamps for that as well as all other classes will be in the description. Now for the Crusader. The Crusader is doing really well for season 25, its damage has increased by a lot, and even though the Crusader hasn't seen any change this season, the soul shards from the season theme has tremendously increased its power, and the strongest builds for Crusader usually has some component of thorns in it, and Thought is notoriously known for not being able to crit. Now with the soul shard Remnant of Pain, it's guaranteeing crit against incapacitated enemies. So this season theme actually buffs the Crusader more than most classes. So for T16 farming and bounties, the Crusader remains the same. It is able to achieve insane movement speed with the horse and can get around super fast. It lags in terms of area effect clearing capabilities, at least compared to a monk or a demon hunter. The Crusader is going to be one of the strongest soloed greater with farmers and pushing classes. So for the DR farming, it's probably going to be able to do in the 120s to 130s, and it's going to be able to do that in about 3 to 4 minutes. So it's going to be one of the strongest classes in terms of raw damage, but it's still going to remain on the slower side due to the nature of the build. So for pushing, Crusader is going to have at least 2 builds capable of clearing 150. Those being the Akan Thorns Bombardment and the Aegis of Valor Heaven's Fury. The Crusader is definitely going to be able to clear 150. The new ability to crit with Thorns Bombardment has skyrocketed into the top build. Now the playstyle of Bombardment still requires some finesse and getting used to, but it's super rewarding once you actually get the hang of it. And Heaven's Fury remains the same in terms of playstyle. So the Crusader is once again not going to be the strongest for any group meta, but it can still be used. The Crusader does however makes up for this in its ability to destroy high solo content in greater rifts. At the end of this video, I will rank the Crusader compared to all other classes. Timestamps for that as well as all other classes will be in the description. Now for the tier list ranking all 7 classes. So this rank is based upon what we discussed about each class during the video, and so overall look at the class and its ability to perform all aspects of the game, so speed content like T16, speed, greater rifts, and its pushing capability, and how well it performs in groups. So coming in last place is the Wizard. The nerf to the Firebirds making mirror image unplayable really killed off the class. This was the only top contending build. It is still a decent class at most things, but I don't see it being used at all for group play. So if you played the Wizard the last 2 seasons, maybe this is the chance for you to play something new. Coming into 6th place is actually the Crusader. Now this does not mean that the Crusader is weak at all, quite the opposite. The Crusader is one of the strongest in terms of raw damage output, but due to the nature of the builds, it lacks crucial elements. It is still a really solid class for solo play, and I wish I could rank it higher, but due to the limited group usage, it unfortunately lands here. But if you're a solo player, the Crusader is still one of the strongest and best classes, and I really recommend playing it if you like the Thorns Bombardment playstyle. Rank 5 goes to the Necro. They buff Rathma set as well as the class ability to capitalize on the season theme, making it really strong. Unfortunately, the solo farming capabilities is quite lacking compared to other classes, at least if we're talking solo greater rifts. The solo push build is still going to be very strong. It's also a lot of fun to play. Now if rats become the meta for 4-man experience farming, the Necro will shoot up at least a rank or 2, but I guess time will tell. The 4th place goes to the Barbarian. The season theme buffing the Hammer of the Ancient is a nice change and should help quite a bit. Besides that, the class is overall above average for solo farming, that being T16 and greater farming with the Wind build. Now where the Bob makes its name is the 4-man groups. It is used for almost all experience and 4-man push groups. Now coming in the 3rd spot, this is a tough one, but it's going to the Demon Hunter. The buff Marauder and change to Bombardier's Rock, making both Marauder multi-shot and cluster arrow viable builds is really nice, as well as the buff to Impale. So for solo content, Demon Hunter is definitely going to be one of the strongest classes for both T16 rift farming, but also greater rift farming. The pushing build for Demon Hunter will also be very strong and is definitely capable of clearing 150. The Demon Hunter has also become a staple of the 4-man group setup due to the massive damage increase it brings with the support setup. I'm looking forward to playing Demon Hunter a lot in Season 25. And I think the class is in a great place. Now the second place goes to the Witch Doctor. The reworked arc here, as well as the multiple item giving the Witch Doctor much needed love, is just amazing. The damage and toughness increase is incredible. Now its solo capability is a bit lackluster, but it makes up for this in sheer damage output and higher DRs, and especially on the Rift Guardian. The pushing build with Aokir Corpse Spider has a nice playstyle and is definitely capable of clearing GR 150. I foresee the Witch Doctor being used quite a bit in the 4-man setup, not for speeds, but for pushing. Or perhaps at some point, once the Paragon scales to insane numbers, we could also see it in speeds as well, just for the big damage burst and for killing the Rift Guardian. All in all, I think the Witch Doctor is an amazing place and I highly recommend playing it. It is a great class for Season 25. And of course, coming in at the #1 spot is of course the Monk. I don't think this came as a surprise to anyone. The inner mystic ally build is just way too powerful, as well as the Monk's ability to speed through all content with dash. The Monk can solo farm up to tier 130 in 3 minutes with good gear and Paragon, and the new added pet Soul Shard has only made the build even stronger. And I predict the Monk being used in a lot of group meta build, both for speeds, where you could see a double Monk plus 2 support setups, and of course also the 4-man setup with the Monk as the trash killer. So what do you guys think of the Season 25 theme? What class are you gonna play in Season 25? Comment down below. Also like and subscribe if you found this video useful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.